Hey eBay sellers, it's Suzanne, and I have something a little bit different for you this time. This is a podcast style video, so the image on your screen is not going to change, which is actually kind of convenient because you can work along doing whatever you want to do and you don't have to watch the screen. One of the features of my premium content library is this podcast style video with member Q&A. Members receive unlimited email support anytime they have a question. So at the end of the month, I make a podcast like this with all of the questions that I received and the answers so that everybody can learn from each other's questions. So that's where these questions came from, were the premium members who sent them in.
I want to encourage you to use that unlimited email support feature because you may be struggling with something and I can tell you in 2 seconds how to solve that problem. And that's what you're paying for as part of this membership, is that access to an experienced seller who can quickly help you. And time is so important in this business. It's all about how much you can do in a day. How many listings you can get up, how many things you can purchase to resell, how many pictures you can take, all of that. So that is one of the perks of this membership, is being able to get those answers quickly. I know a lot of you put questions on Facebook and YouTube, but it could take a while for anyone to answer you. And there's no sense of urgency on social media. You know, if somebody answers it, great. If not, you're going to sit there wondering, what do I do? And then we all know that calling eBay can be hit or miss because generally they're reading scripts and the customer service people generally are not eBay sellers. So they just don't know. And all they can do is read a script. So I just want to encourage you to use this part of your membership because it's very valuable as far as saving time and getting the right answers when you have an issue. Okay, so let's get started with Melanie, who sent in this question. Hello, I wrote you a few days ago to ask about a $1 discrepancy between the calculated shipping price eBay charged my customer and the amount I was charged to print out a shipping label. You suggested I do some more digging to see what had happened, and what I suggested was for her to make sure that the weight was right, because if you're doing calculated shipping and your weight is off, it could overcharge your customer, or undercharge, meaning if you don't weigh the item when you're listing it, including the packaging, and the weight is more when you go to ship it, it's going to cost more. So that's why it's really important to weigh your items as you're listing them. Now, after a while, you're going to be able to estimate how much the packaging is going to weigh. You're going to know, okay, when I ship a mug, the packaging weighs 8 ounces. You're going to know to add that in. But just getting started, you want to figure out the packaging, and you don't actually have to package the item up and have it all taped up. In fact, I discourage that because you may need to get to the item to answer a question about it, and then you're going to have to unpackage it, and that takes time. So make sure that you are weighing the item, including the packaging, and that can just be you put the clothing item on the scale, you put a poly mailer on top of it, or you already know that the poly mailer weighs 2 ounces, so you're just going to add that. But that's usually the reason that the shipping is not coming out right. Okay, so what Melanie figured out, well, this is her reply. I'm still not sure what exactly is going on. It looks like eBay is undercharging for shipping for all of mine and my husband's listings. We keep selling stuff and the shipping costs are not covered by what the customer is paying, even though we have calculated shipping figured and the weights are correct. For example, my husband has listed a 6-ounce item that ships for $2.05 according to eBay listing, but according to USPS, that weight package should cost $2.92. This wouldn't be a big deal, but a customer just paid $7 to get a shirt shipped to France half of what it actually cost. That's going to add up after a very short while. Okay, so what she figured out was that she had the letter option chosen. Large envelope. So she did some digging and some investigating, and she wrote me back and said the weight was not the issue, but she was clicking large envelope instead of package on the calculated shipping, and using poly mailers for first class t-shirts, and thought that was an envelope. So it was a terminology problem. So when you look at those options on the packaging, make sure you're choosing the right one, because if you're choosing large envelope, that's talking about like a it's called craft paper, those brownish envelopes that you would send like legal documents or anything like that. That's not a package, so it's going to charge less, and then when you go to ship it, you're not going to have charged the customer enough. A side note on that, when you are choosing your shipping options for priority, there's a lot of different options there. If you just choose priority with nothing else after that option, no flat rate, no padded flat rate, none of that stuff, that should cover you when you go to ship at priority. I am not a big fan of flat rate boxes, just because for me, for what I sell, it usually comes out fine just to do priority by the weight or a padded flat rate, because I do probably 75% clothing. So if you're new to this and you're trying to figure out the shipping, the best thing to do is just do straight calculated. Don't worry about any flat rates until you get better at this and get more comfortable. eBay has a lot of moving parts, and when you're trying to learn all of them at once, it can be very overwhelming. So just stick with straight calculated, either first class or priority. Check out the videos under the beginner section. I've got a flow chart you can print out that walks you through the steps. Okay, if it's this, then you do this. Will it do this? No, then do this. And it walks you through exactly the thought process of how to ship your items. And it's very helpful for new people. So we got that problem solved. Okay, the next one is about a common seller mistake and what to do. So we've got Marcy, who says, "Hi Suzanne, thank you so much for your premium content library. I love all of the knowledge you provide. It's really helped us to grow our business. I have a question. Yesterday I was using the bulk editing tool on eBay to lower prices on my higher priced items with watchers, and was hurrying since I had to meet my daughter's school bus. Anyway, I accidentally changed the price of a Tommy Hilfiger sailing gear jacket from $399 to $3.78 instead of $378. Of course, before I noticed my error, it sold for $3.78. How should I handle this situation? I have never had a defect before, but wish there was a way to handle this without getting one. Either way, I know the buyer isn't going to be happy with my canceling the sale. I am trying to think of a creative solution. Normally, I would send the item anyway and use it as a learning experience, but this jacket is worth a lot of money. I would offer them to choose something else in my store. Not sure how to word my message to them. If you have any ideas, I would greatly appreciate it." Okay, so that's a tough one. It happens to everybody. Either when you're listing the item, you leave off a digit, or if you're revising prices, you make a typo. And trust me, I've made enough typos. People message me all the time, and oh, you've got a typo in your title, because people are looking at my one store, my Atlanta Golf Shop store, and that's what it's out there for, is for people to look at it, and they're like, oh, you've got a typo, or you checked this, or you've got it in the wrong category. And so I know I make mistakes. Everybody does. But what do you do here? So here is my answer. Hi, Marcy. This is a tough situation, and you really only have two choices. Number one, honor the sale, ship the item, learn from it, and move on. It happens to everyone. Number two is cancel the sale and take the defect. And I always answer these emails, these questions, whether it's consulting or in this group, with what I would do if it was my store. I look at this like, I'm talking to a doctor and, okay, if this is your child, what would you do? I don't like to say, okay, this is what you have to do or this is what you should do. I just look at it from, if this was my business, if this was my store, what I would do. And you can take that or leave it. Because if you ask 50 sellers what they would do, you're probably going to get 50 answers. And you just got to figure out whose advice you want to take and move on. So personally, if it were me, I would ship it. The overall health of my account is much more important to me than the money. You can always get more money, but it is very hard to recover from defects, and no amount of money can bring your account back if you were pushed out of top-rated seller or even pushed down to below standard and your selling restricted. This is a defect you have control over. Explaining this to the buyer has too much potential to end badly. eBay will side with them if they decide to escalate things, and you could end up with a defect and negative feedback. I had a similar thing happen last year with a customer who claimed a $400 item was defective, and I stood by my return policy and asked her to send it back. She refused and was trying to extort a partial refund, which I was not willing to give because I knew the value of that item. She kept the item, left me a negative, listed on her account using my photos. I brought this to eBay's attention, and eBay sided with her, even though she copied my pictures. Even though my account has been open since 2003 and I have over 14,000 feedbacks, they still sided with her, even though it was very obvious that she completely copied my listing. And she bought the item to resell because she sold high-end designer brands. I really don't care about that. Because I get my money and I move on, but it was very obvious what happened. So that's why the feedback on my Atlanta Golf Shop store was 98.8% for a solid year from one transaction. That negative just dropped off a couple of weeks ago and I'm back to 100%, but it compromised my account for an entire year. So back to the message, back to Marcy. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but this is how I would handle it. I've had things like this happen before, and it's just part of the business. And, let me know how it turns out. So Marcy did write back. She said, thank you so much for your fast and detailed response. You are absolutely right. We are going to just ship the jacket and use it as a learning experience. It's not worth it, as you have said. Merry Christmas to them. Thank you so much for all you do for our community. So things like this are going to happen, and you're looking at the dollar signs, but what you can't put a value on is the health of your account. And I was also in this situation back in 2013 when eBay changed some things and introduced this defect system, and my account was put into below standard. And it was horrible. I could only have 80 items listed. I had to just push through it, and I've got a video on that. I'll put the link below this that you can learn about what happened to me. But it's possible to overcome this. But going forward, it's too restrictive. It's too hard to make money when your account is in jeopardy because you have all these limits put on what you can do. So you can't look at the dollar amount of one sale. You have to look at what is your decision about this situation going to do to your entire account, and how is that going to affect your ability to make money on eBay. So I appreciate Marcy sharing that and allowing me to share that with you, because if this hasn't happened to you yet, it will. You may be editing prices. You may just do a typo on a listing. You could be putting things on sale and put in, the wrong number. You put in 45% instead of 15%. Things like this are going to happen because we're all human and we all make mistakes, and It's never a matter of if something's going to happen. It's how are you going to respond, not react. How are you going to respond when something happens and come out on top and just be the bigger person and move on. Okay, so now we've got Diana, who sent a question about a fur coat she found. Okay, she says, thanks for the great videos and words of encouragement to everyone. I would like to ask for your advice. As you may have seen, I posted that I found a vintage fur coat with a tag that says Zur Diner. Anyway, it's kind of a German name, I think, furs, on the stay-at-home moms group. There's no tag indicating what type of fur it is. I researched the company and it's no longer in business, and the gentleman that owned it passed away. I even read his obituary, which stated he retired from the furrier business in 1993. I do not have a local furrier to take it to. Diana is in Louisiana, so probably not a lot of furriers in the whole state. She didn't have a furrier to take it to see what it's made of. I'm debating if I should send it somewhere to have it authenticated by a furrier or list it and state that I don't know what type of fur it is. I am not sure if furs are often faked. Any advice you would have would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so whatever your ethical views on fur coats are, we're just going to kind of put that aside because that's not what this is about. The fur coats are out there and people will buy them, and yes, they can be fake fur. So here's my answer to Diana. Basically what you do is you just gently pull out a few strands, a few hairs of the fur, like in an inconspicuous location, maybe along the hemline or somewhere, and you burn it. And depending on what is left after you burn it, will tell you if it's real or fake. And I do have a video in the premium library here about burn tests for determining what type of fabric something is. So I've got a link to that below too. So you can see there if it's animal fur or if it's fake. Okay, so that's your first step. Then you want to go to the What Is It group on Facebook and get some input. See where that gets you. And it's okay to list it if you don't know what kind of fur it is. Just state that, because you'll be able to tell by the burn test if it's real or fake. And then I told her to let me know what happens. And she said, I did the burn test. It is definitely real fur. I posted on the What Is This group, and the consensus seems to be dyed rabbit fur from the 80s. I think I will roll with listing it soon. Thank you for your suggestions. Okay, so again, if you are not familiar with the What Is It group, I've got a link to that below this. It is a wonderful group on Facebook where I think there's over 150,000 members. And if you don't know what something is, an object you don't know what it is, or you can't figure out what it's made of, or the time frame it came from, or what something's a hallmark or a signature says, these people are just amazing. They are so helpful, and they love answering questions, because a lot of them worked in the estate sale business or flea market business, or they're collectors or whatever, and that usually at least gets you going in the right direction. So so that's the story of the fur coat, and Diana did get an answer, and I don't know, I haven't seen if she's listed or sold it yet, but I know she's very active on the premium library, so maybe she will answer that for us. Okay, the next email is from Christine, and she has kind of a unique situation, but you never know when this could be you. Good afternoon, Suzanne. I just watched your video and read your article about including eBay on your resume. It was very interesting and informative. Can you provide me with an eBay seller sample resume so I can see the format and structure? I've been selling on eBay and Poshmark for over 3 years while I dealt with some health issues, and now I really need to get a job. I've been sending my resume out to potential employers with poor results. I think since my resume cuts off at 3 years ago, it looks like I haven't been working for 3 years. All of my previous experience is in the steel industry. I really don't want to do that anymore. I love doing my online sales, but the money is just too unpredictable. I need a steady income so I can get a W-2 for a business loan I want to get to start my own brick and mortar business. I applied, and even though I have an 830 credit score, they won't give me a loan with my debt to income ratio. I've watched many of your videos on YouTube over the years and appreciate your hard work. Please let me know. Okay, so I've got the link to that video below. If you've not seen it, you may want to just watch it, because you never know when you may want to go out and get a more, I want to say reliable, but that's not really the right word, consistent income, because having that W-2 is very important if you are going to borrow money. And while we all make money on eBay, sometimes it's hard to prove to a lender how much you make, because when you're self-employed, the objective is to show as little income as possible on your tax return, but that hurts you when you want to borrow money. So been there and done that, and I have that in that video. But the bottom line here is, when you are putting your eBay experience on a resume, you really have to put quantifiable things using numbers and statistics about your time as a reseller. And I see this all the time, that eBay sellers totally they shortchange themselves on what they know how to do. While tasks may sound mundane to you, we have skills as eBay sellers that the average person does not have. So for example, you can talk about being a top-rated seller or a power seller. You can say, achieve top-rated seller status after however many months and maintain this status for however many months or years, because that just shows them, whoever's looking at your resume, that you have been committed to this business and you have achieved some accolades for your performance, which comes in the way of top-rated seller, top-rated plus, power seller, those types of titles. Most people who don't do eBay have no idea what any of those mean, but it's still a title that you can put on your resume that shows you've accomplished something. You can also talk about your inventory. Maintained an inventory of X amount of dollars, X amount of items for however many months or years. So you could say, I have an inventory of $2,000, which is 700 items, and that's been maintained for 3 years. That shows, again, that you're committed to the business and that you have maintained something. People who, hiring managers like to see people who have built something from nothing. And that's what you've done with this eBay business, is you have built something from nothing. Nobody handed this to you. You went out and figured out how to do it, bought the items, took pictures of them, put them up for sale, dealt with customers, shipped items domestically, internationally, handled problems, handled the money, all of that. And most people who don't do eBay have no idea what goes into it. So you've got to tell them on your resume. So here's a sample from a resume I did a while back, telling Christine that you can add your numbers about your unique business. So eBay 2012 to the present. Built and managed eBay store with 700 item inventory of primarily women's clothing, shoes, and household goods. Achieved top-rated seller status after 12 months and maintained consistently. Steady profit margins of 85%. Lifetime sales of over 5,000 items and 100% positive feedback. Daily duties include photographing items, conducting pricing research on a variety of internet platforms, shipping a variety of items both domestically and internationally, customer service, handling returns, tracking lost packages, promoting items on social media, maintaining inventory and sales spreadsheet to track profit and loss. So that just kind of gives you an idea of the kinds of things you can say. So I'm going to refer you to my video on that because it's kind of long, but I did want to put this in front of you because you never know when your life situation is going to require you to have a W-2 for something. And especially if you're single and you don't have another person's financial information to fall back on, or if you're not single but your spouse, your partner, whatever, their financial information situation is not good, and you've got to carry the burden yourself. So I do know people that have W-2 jobs just for the sake of getting that W-2 for their taxes, insurance, benefits, that kind of thing. Even if it's just a part-time job, but you still have to be able to tell the hiring manager what you've been doing and portray yourself in a positive light, because while you might think selling on eBay is nothing, anybody can do it, nobody understands this business, people, don't give me the credit I deserve, you have to help them understand what you do every day and what you've done over months or years. Speak in their language, because if you owned a bakery, people would kind of know what you did every day. If you owned a construction company, people would kind of know what you did. But eBay's different. Most people don't know what goes on behind the scenes, so we have to educate them and put the right terminology on the resume so that you'll look good and hopefully be able to get the job that you're applying for. This is an authentication question. Hello, I agree with the authentication info. My question is this. I have 2 Burberry hats I obtained at an estate auction of a deceased doctor and his wife recently. If it costs $20 per item to authenticate an item, and I was only going to start pricing at like $19 on auction for each hat, it may or may not go higher, or put them on sale for $40. It seems like it wouldn't be worth paying the fee to authenticate these items. So I'm stuck with 2 Burberry hats. I see these hats as low as $10 but up to $100 on eBay. I have the type that would probably be around $50. I should mention they were free. Okay, so what I told Lisa was this. Yes, you definitely want to authenticate any Burberry, just because that is one of those high-end brands that is faked a lot, and that's going to put you under the radar to have not only that listing but other listings scrutinized. So if you're going to list those 10 brands like Louis Vuitton, Coach, Burberry is one of them, you definitely want to get those authenticated. So I told Lisa this. Hi, if it were me, I would not pay the fee to authenticate and would not list on eBay. It does not make financial sense to make the investment to authenticate such a low dollar item, but you certainly don't want to risk your account by listing a possible fake. Since they were free, you are not out any money. You do not have an investment to try to recover. Maybe try selling locally on Facebook Marketplace. I would not personally list anything Burberry on eBay unless it had been authenticated. So what we're talking about here is the site authenticatefirst.com, where you can send in photos of your item and they will tell you if it's authentic or not. And the people that do the authenticating have worked in the fashion industry for sometimes decades. They're very good at what they do, and they'll tell you get a certificate from the site that shows that your item has been authenticated. So for something this low dollar, I would not even fool with it, and especially since she got it free, move on to something else. Okay, and then on that same note, Carol sent in an authentication question, and that was kind of weird because these two came right together. Carol said, I remember seeing your recommendation for an online authentication website for high-end purses. I've been researching a Louis Vuitton I bought for $3.75. I believe this one to be the real deal, but would like an expert opinion. So I sent her to authenticatefirst.com. I don't work with them. I don't have any affiliate relationship with them, but they are where to go online to get your stuff authenticated. And she did write me back and said, "Nope, oh well, only out $375 plus the authentication fee. Better safe than sorry. Fakes go in the trash." And that's true. Sometimes it's going to come back and tell you it's a fake. But we look at, again, the overall health of your account is worth way more than the $20 she spent to have something authenticated. So you have to look at the whole big picture on things like this, because I can't even tell you how many people have emailed me over the years and said, "Help me get my account back. I listed a fake Coach purse. I listed a fake Chanel purse. I listed a fake True Religion jeans," whatever it is, and was suspended. And there's nothing I can do. When you're off, you're off. And it's devastating if this is how you make your money. So you really want to do eBay the right way. And when you're dealing with these high-end brands, get things authenticated. It's cost of doing business. Chalk it up to that's just the world we live in, and that's the way it's going to be. Okay, the next question is from Talisha. And she says, "I currently have several pairs of size 6 shoes listed. I have gotten 2 requests now from different buyers to show a picture of the foot in the shoe. This seemed possibly fetish related, so I haven't sent any. I wanted to check with you in case this was a standard request. I have sold larger shoes in the past, sizes 8, 9, and 10, and have never gotten these questions." Okay, so my answer to her was, yes, people can get a little weird on eBay. These people aren't dangerous, they're just a little strange. I would reply with, "Unfortunately, we cannot accommodate that request." Then your answering metrics won't be affected by ignoring the question. They will more than likely move on to someone else. So yeah, there's people that are going to ask you all to do all kind of weird stuff, and you just, they're just bored. They're on their computer. They're never going to have to see you in person. They're just going to ask you to do weird things. And you just decline. No big deal. But you do want to answer, because, you want your metrics for answering questions to be like a short period of time. So you just want to go ahead and give them an answer. Also, then if it escalates to anything, then you have that correspondence that eBay can look at should you have to get them involved. If it's somebody that won't leave you alone, or they're irritating you, bugging you, you'll have that correspondence that you said no thanks and move on. Yes, men do buy large size or any size women's shoes for when they're dressing in drag. That's a known thing. Their money's just as green as anybody else's, so it doesn't bother me. I don't care. People buy things for all kind of reasons on eBay. It's none of my business. I'm just here to provide products, and if they want to buy them, great, I'll ship it to you. Don't let this kind of thing freak you out. If somebody wants to murder you or whatever, they don't need eBay to do it. They're doing this on eBay because there's no accountability. They can hide behind their computer, and it's a game to some people. So don't let that worry you. It's just people being people. Okay, wow, we were all over the place on these Q&As, but that's what I'm here for. So don't hesitate at all to contact me if you have any questions, and I will make more of these podcast style Q&As, because I think it is helpful for us to hear the questions of other sellers, because you never know when that issue is going to come up for you. And while you probably won't remember everything that was said in this podcast, you'll at least know that, yeah, Suzanne talked about that at one point. Let me ask her about that. So I'm here for you. Thanks for listening. Bye.